right, Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Kakodash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to his younger brothers. And peace and blessings and salutations to the hopeful lake out there pushing his word in truth and in sincerity across the four winds. In the name of Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful lake, the believers and listeners who have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. All right. And what I want to get into today, is the law and the prophets, dealing with how, Yahweh Shai, he embodies it all. Okay. And this misconception, especially amongst, Christianity, they feel as if, who they call, all right, Jesus Christ, the Messiah, they push the narrative as if he came and voided out, the Old Testament. Nah, he was here to fulfill. Okay, and even with the law, as he fulfilled the law in their lifetime, for him to be that perfect sacrifice, it wasn't for the law to be done away with. It was for us to have a grace period to where we wasn't, judged by the law. Okay, but we were still required to grow in righteousness, man, which the law is included in it. Okay, and there's a portion of the law that we can keep to the best of our ability, and that law enhances, okay, us as a people, and it puts us on the level. It gives us structures as a people. That's why you go into the true falls of Yahweh Shai, and as we rehearse the righteous acts and we keep a portion of that law to our best ability, all right, we begin to operate and function, as a government, man, with order, with structure. You know, it produces peace. It produces efficiency in how we move, along with the rest of the wisdom, and the practical wisdom in the scriptures, man. All right. So as you go to the book of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 17. Okay, and this is the GNT. I'm gonna read a little bit out of here. All right. It kind of explains it, in a clear way. All right, but once again, the disclaimer, when you're reading GNT, it's good to cross reference, with the KJV, to make sure that it's on point, okay, with the interpretation. Then we, got overall guided by the Spirit to interpret these things, so just be mindful when reading the other translations, because they can kind of scare off and try to interpret it in another way. Okay. But this is Matthew 5 and 17. It said, don't misunderstand why I have come. And this is Yahweh Shai speaking, the Messiah. All right. Don't misunderstand why I have come. It isn't to counsel the laws of Moses and the warnings of the prophets. No, I come to fulfill them and to make them all come true. Okay. So Yahweh Shai didn't come to counsel out the law of Moses, make void the law, okay, ultimately, which is the law of the Most High. It was given to Moses. He was the mediator of the first covenant to give to the people, okay? So Yahweh Shai didn't come to counsel that out, okay, and for people to do as thou wilt, but then just call on Jesus Christ and be good. Nah, man, okay? I say he came to fulfill that law, for him to be that perfect sacrifice acceptable to the Most High, and that we can have a grace period to grow in righteousness, man. Okay? And then he didn't counsel out the prophecies of the Old Testament, because a lot of our teachings, we deal with the prophecies that haven't been fulfilled in the Old Testament, man. Going into America, being, all right, Babylon, okay, spiritual Egypt, okay, Third World War, what you read about in Joel, okay, Ezekiel 39. You see, those things haven't been fulfilled, and we're warned, for our people to get right before these great judgments come. That's one of the main things that we warn about to come is, all right, Jacob's trouble that hasn't been fulfilled, which is the book of Jeremiah, Okay, Daniel speaks about the tribulation that's going to come that's been worse than any tribulation. Okay, so we speak about all these things, these warnings, okay, of the Old Testament that hasn't been fulfilled yet. Okay, but Christianity, Esau Edom pushes as if we're beyond everything in the Old Testament. Nah, man. Hey, the worst part of the Old Testament is yet to come. Which is that World War III, which is going to lead to the nuclear annihilation of America. Okay, and it's going to lead to a lot of death in the earth, man. Okay, so let's go from there because I say a lot of people think that Yahweh Shai, okay, or the Messiah, you know, they think of him only being relevant starting at the book of Matthew, okay? But he comes in the volume of the book. The spirit of this book is the spirit of Yahweh Shai. All right, the theme of the scriptures is Yahweh Shai, and that's how the Heavenly Father set it up. So when you go to the book of John, chapter 5, okay, and you read verse 45, it says, yet, all right, it's in the GNT, St. John 6 and 45, no, Salaki, St. John 5 and 45. It said, yet it is not I who will accuse you of this to the Father. All right, Moses will. Moses, on whose laws you set your hopes, all right, on heaven. Okay? So Yahweh Shai was letting them know, all right, it's not me that's accusing you. You can go into the books of Moses and you're accused. Okay? Because Yahweh Shai, all right, was spoken of in, okay, the Old Testament. Okay? He was spoken to come. You see? He was spoken to be the mighty king. Okay? He was spoken to be that conqueror. I'll say he was also spoken to be that sacrifice, man. Okay? So as they was rejecting Yahweh Shai, and the wicked leadership of our people back then, and you see they're back today doing the same thing because calling on Christ is ultimately rejecting Yahweh Shai. Okay, but then those main people that call on Christ, what do they boast in? The law, the law, the law, the law. Well, you go into the law, you're condemned. First, by the law itself, but then the prophecies that are within these laws, man, it condemns you because it points to Yahweh Shai. Okay? So there's no getting around Yahweh Shai when dealing with this book, man. Okay? Verse 6, it says, for you have, verse 46, St. John 5 and 46 says, for you have refused to believe Moses. He wrote about me, but you refuse to believe him, so you refuse to believe me. And since you don't believe what he wrote, no wonder you don't believe me either, man. Okay? And these guys go into the law, the law, the law. But wait a minute. When the law of grape was brought out, everybody bugged out. Okay? So wait a minute. You really don't believe, even in you boast in the law, but you don't believe in everything in that law. Okay? Like the law is a system, and you gotta believe that that's the best system to run a nation with. Okay? Because in the kingdom, we're not gonna have to deal with, Israelite women, okay, being grapes. That happened back then. But how are we going to govern the other nations when that happened? By their law. You see, Jake talk about the law, but they do it from a fairy tale standpoint. Keeping the law in America, that's from a fairy tale standpoint, keeping the whole law. They're gonna say there's a portion that we can do, and we do it to the best of our ability, and we grow in it. Okay? But this mindset of keeping the whole law in America is a fairy tale mindset, man. Okay, but when we really get into the reality of this, when we really talk about living this thing, then Jake bug out. That westernization starts spewing out, man. But wait a minute, I thought you was all about the law. But when we go into it, Jake turned into your auntie, man. Okay, so let's go here Got one more. It's Matthew 24 and 32. All right, so we'll make this long. Um, it's the book of Matthew. All right, chapter 24. Because Yahweh Shai is coming, he's going to fulfill the rest of everything that hasn't been fulfilled, man. Before the kingdom. This is Matthew 24. And let's see. I'll do 32. It says, now learn a lesson from the fig tree. When her branch is tender and the leaves begin to sprout, you know that summer is almost here. Just so when you see all these things beginning to happen, you can know that my return is near, even at the door. And see, Yahweh Shai left signs of what would be happening before his return. Okay, and guess what? These things coincide to the Old Testament, man. Second Ezra 9:1. Uproars of the people, commotions, earthquakes. Okay? You see? Egyptian versus the Egyptian. That's in the Old Testament, man. So the things that Yahweh Shah was speaking on, he's going to give Egypt over to a cruel lord, which you see the government of America is becoming extremely cruel to the people. So these signs that will be happening, you can find them in the Old Testament as well. They're not just confined to Matthew the 24th chapter, Luke 21st chapter. Nah, man, they all throughout the book. Okay? So the only way to truly understand Yahweh Shai, you have to tie in the volume of the book, man. Okay, and the spirit of Yahweh Shai is what? Prophecy, man. So as we see these things happening, man, we know that the spirit of Yahweh Shai, that Yahweh Shai is getting closer to the earth, man. We in that time. All right, it says verse 34. It says, then at last, this age will come to its close, man. Okay, and we in the time with America and Esau, Edom supremacy is about to come to a close, man. Okay, Yahweh Shai is going to close this thing out, man. Okay, so that's the point, Lord will, you brothers, and you sisters edified to the next time I say Shalom, Kwam Yashala, a bow soon.